Hi, I'm Pete Schwabe, and I will be on the William Pace Show tonight, so if you're having trouble getting to sleep and want to hear some jokes, I'll do some of Fred Kletz's material, and that should put you right to sleep. Tune in tonight on the William Pace Show.
My guest this evening is Krohn Conservatory. He's a classical guitarist and currently studying at the College Conservatory in Cincinnati. How did you get involved with the guitar?
Basically, it's just through rock music. You know, I wanted to play rock music, and I started doing that in about 8th grade.
So you started out as a rocker then?
Yeah. Not too many kids, you know, aspire to be a classical guitarist at first. Most of my friends who play classically, you know, were rocking out at one time.
So what made you decide to convert from rock to classical?
Well, basically, I wanted to study it in college, and there are only jazz or classical programs at the university, so I had to pick up one of the two, and my teacher had a degree in classical guitar, so that just seemed natural.
Now, what are your plans after you finish college?
I don't really know yet. You know, I'm still working on college. I might want to teach. You know, there are very few full-time teaching positions for a classical guitarist, but I think I might like to do that. But we'll see.
Wonderful. What are you going to play for us tonight?
It's a 19th century piece by Francisco Tarraga. It's entitled Lagrima, which means teardrop in Spanish.
Wonderful. Guitarist Krohn Conservatory. Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Coming up next, comic Pete Schwabe. Stay with us.
We're sitting there in church, this humongous lady comes waddling down the aisle. My grandpa leans over to me, thinks he's whispering, and mutters, "Jesus Christ, Pete, look at the size of her! What do you think she weighs?" I'm like, "I don't know, Grandpa, why don't you ask yourself? She's coming right for us." Holy smokes. She's got a stick in her hand, too. Biggest thing, I was driving around with my grandpa like a week ago, Wednesday, I guess it was. We're driving, and my grandpa's an awful driver, the 80-year-old. We're driving, and when I was with him, he got his first speeding ticket his entire life. 80 years old, what a drag. We get pulled over. And I think this is what it must say in the police handbook for pulling over speeding offenders. Pull the offender over to the right, take the offender's license, go back to the squad car, watch Dances with Wolves, write a 10-page comparative essay on that, then you can return the license. What are they doing back there? Are they making their own donuts back in the squad car or something?
My guest this evening is Pete Schwabe. He's currently in town and currently appearing at Joker's Comedy Cafe. Is this your first appearance in Dayton?
Yeah. Yeah, it was my first time here, and the parade was a lot of fun a couple days ago. That was very nice of the people at Dayton to do that. First time in Dayton, having a great time. Very nice.
Now, your act is somewhat clean and wholesome. Tell me a little bit more about your act. It's a family act, I take it.
Well, it's a dysfunctional family act, I think. You know,
Dysfunctional, meaning what?
Gets a little zinger there. It's a clean act. I do it, you know, I want to do stuff like I'd be able to do in front of my parents, you know, stuff like that. I like to work the crowd and do a little soft shoe, that kind of thing. So, it's clean.
So where's home?
Chicago. I live in Chicago. Yeah. On, the
Windy City?
The Windy City, City of the Big Shoulders. I live on the northwest side. It's a nice place to live.
Now, why did you decide to go into comedy?
I remember when I was raised, I was watching comedy my whole life, and I just always thought it would be a kind of an interesting job to have. Watching people like Steve Martin, Jackie Gleason, Bill Cosby, you know.
Who's your favorite?
Fred Klett. My favorite is probably Steve Martin or Cosby, someone like that. Groucho Marx. I really don't have one favorite. I like just about anyone who is original and kind of a catalyst in this business, you know.
Tell me some more about Steve Martin. Why is he why is he your idol?
Well, Steve Martin was just a comedian who was so very different than any other comedian of his time. I mean, you just had to admire the stuff that he tried to do on stage. You know, he was so different and so hysterically funny that you know, if you really tapped into what he was doing, you couldn't help but just think he was, you know, a genius. He was terrific.
What kind of kid were you growing up as a child?
I was a girl.
Oh, really?
No.
What was your name?
Patrina.
Patrina.
I was a normal kid. I grew up on the northwest side of Chicago, right across from a park, and played Little League, was a Boy Scout, went to Catholic school, all that other kind of stuff. It was fairly normal. I had 4 brothers and sisters, and they all want to be like me. And it was a pretty normal childhood. You know, had a lot of fun growing up. It was fun.
Now, what do your folks say about your work in comedy? Do they say that you ought to go out and get a real job? Do they consider this a real job? You know, many people in the arts that aspire to be in the arts, like an actor or a singer or a dancer, sometimes their family think that they don't, what they do is not really work. Do you have that problem with your folks?
No, they've actually been very supportive of everything. They come out and see me as often as they can when they're in town, and they've been very supportive. They kind of are excited about it. I think they want to be like me too. I set that kind of example for my parents, gives them something to shoot for, and you know. So they've been actually very, very good about
So you want your folks to follow in your footsteps then?
Right. I want them to quit their jobs, start doing open mics, and die 1,000 deaths.
How many weeks out of the year do you work?
I worked 63 weeks last year, but usually it varies.
63 weeks. So you're just making more weeks in the year then?
Yeah, I work overtime. Like when I'm done here, I'll be down at a club in Cincinnati tonight. I push. No, I work about 50 weeks a year. Take a couple weeks off, but I like to keep busy, and I need the money.
So you work primarily, at the moment, you're your own agent then?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the time being. I have someone that I work with also who's like a agent, but I do a lot of my own stuff too.
Do you ever have nights when you don't want to go on the stage?
Yeah, I have many nights
that
where
you
I
just feel that you're just not up to it. You don't feel like being funny.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot of times. And I think a lot of times that almost helps you because you realize you're not really up for this and you have to dig deep down inside yourself and give it that extra little bit of gusto, I think. So it helps. I think sometimes, you know, you end up having a better show than than you normally would, just because you realize you have to try harder.
What's the funniest thing? The funniest thing that's happened to you on the stage?
One of my arteries started spraying over the entire crowd. Very embarrassing, William. Has that ever happened to you?
I can't say I've had that happen to me, but
Well, you're one of the lucky ones. Let me tell you something.
I think I'd rather be one of the lucky ones and not
You
have
are.
that.
I don't. I dropped a glass of water once. Just my muscles relaxed. The water went out and sprayed some people in the front row. And that's about it, really. I mean, I don't have any, like horror stories. I've had nights where I've really bombed, but.
What do you do those nights that you bomb in front of people where nothing you can say is funny?
I think that can all be summed up in one line: full frontal nudity. That's the only way to get out of something like that.
What do you do? Strip then when you can't get them to laugh? Do you get humor then when you?
I make fun. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Have you ever stripped on the stage?
Not in a comedy club.
More conversation with Pete Schwabe when we return. Stay with us. Now, when you leave Dayton, I think you're headed for Los Angeles.
Yeah, Los Angeles.
And what are you going to do there?
Just audition, showcase, and stuff like that. And try to be seen.
Be visible.
Be visible. Just kind of try to show your face around and get some exposure.
Would you ever consider, many comics, Billy Crystal and Robin Williams have sort of branched out into sort of serious acting or acting. Would you consider that?
What?
Branching out into acting.
Yeah, definitely. That's something I think that I think every comic would eventually love to do that. I mean, just to get off the road for a while, because the road gets kind of sickening, tiresome after a while. Yeah, that's something I would definitely consider. I've done some acting in the past, and I would love to do something like that. That would be great.
In 5 years, where would you like to be in 5 years from now?
Just, I think, still doing stand-up. Just, I'd like to be more accomplished, more confident, and hopefully maybe have 5 new minutes of material by then. Just still doing stand-up with keeping my options open as far as TV or that goes. Just keep all the doors open.
Do you feel that comedy today?
Sorry about that.
Was that just a comic?
That was a pratfall, William. Don't think for a second that wasn't as planned as all get out.
Do you think comedy today, is different from comedy yesterday?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more comics out there, and now I think the trend is shifted, and there's just a ton of comics out there, and it makes it harder because the supply and demand thing. I have a little graph over here, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank God it pointed that out too, huh? Yeah, it's gotten more competitive, but I think that'll reverse itself too, and eventually there'll be fewer comics and more work. It's just the way things work. But it's different now in the sense that, but I think you can always be original. I don't buy that theory that everything's been done. I think you can always, as much as my act doesn't show it, you can be original in stand-up still today. So.
But in your act, you don't rely upon, profanity, anything like that in your act. It's pretty clean. And I guess you've chosen to keep your act clean. And why is that? Why have you chosen to keep a clean act?
Hell, I don't know. I think it's better if you're clean, just because you don't have to change anything if you do a TV show or something like that. I mean, you get a lot more exposure if you're clean. And I think it's a cop-out when people are dirty. I think there are some people that are dirty and are funny, but I think a lot of times it's just a cop-out, and it's just another way of getting laughs, or it's an easy laugh if you swear. And I mean, that's that's the theory that it kind of embarrasses. I think Jackie Gleason said it embarrasses the audience into laughing when you are dirty or swear, and you know, I mean, that's what happens.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you,
Pete,
William.
for coming on tonight.
My
thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you very much.
Gotta go. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
I told my grandpa, you know, I think it's time to get a fuzzbuster. He goes, you think so? I go, yeah. I should have gone with him. He goes out and he buys a dustbuster. The best thing was he had it in the car. He's trying to figure out how to hook it up. That was the best.